Hey, you guys. All right. Ready for part 3? Oh my God. Okay. I got myself so confused earlier. I was trying to film this and I was like, wait a second. I have way too many pieces. And since I've packed up the, all of these that I made already, I had to like go back and look at pictures and stuff like to remember what I was doing or what I did. So I've been saying 2 of these large seed envelopes are in these, but there's not. There's only one. When I send the little kits, though, I'll send 2, just so you know. Yeah, and that was like really throwing me off. I was like, where does that go? Anyway, but I figured it out. Okay, so this one I've kind of done a little bit of work on because that's what I was doing in the other video, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to do it on this one anyway. So if you've watched the first 2 videos, you know that I'm making 2 of these on the video so that if you don't have the seed envelopes or the coin envelopes or whatever, you can use other envelopes that you might already have on hand to create those elements. Okay. So anyway, so what I did was this is the alternate version right here. Okay. So I took the I made my own version of, you know, a library pocket, and you guys saw me do that on the last video. And, you know, I had to modify it just a little bit because like the sizing was a little bit different and stuff. But basically all I did was I wound up cutting the bottom um, off of the envelope of one of these envelopes, and then or no, I just cut the very bottom of it off right here, and then I just folded that flap up, the one that was, anyway, you know what I mean. So I took, to make the smaller library pocket, I took half of that medium-sized envelope and I cut it off like this. Okay, so I actually cut that whole top part off, and then I just folded that bottom part up to make the library pocket. Okay, and then I just covered it with my scrapbook paper, and I kind of extended it onto the back of the envelope. Okay, so that's how I did this one, the smaller one. The larger one we already talked about. And then I did actually glue these closed on the sides with just a very, very thin, you know, teeny little amount of the art glitter glue, just to kind of hold it until I get to stitching it. You don't necessarily have to glue it if you're going to stitch it anyways. It's just I wanted it to just stay where I wanted it until I get to stitching. Okay. So, and the reason I'm not stitching it right now is because I like to kind of do all of the stitching all at once. Like I like to get everything prepped and then just do all my sewing on the sewing machine. So this also shows you that you don't have to use a sewing machine to do this either. Like you can do it without doing any stitching. Okay, and then this gets kind of confusing as far as the way it's put together. So what I do, or what I did and what I'm doing now is I just kind of paper clipped everything in the way that it's going to be ultimately. And so that's what this is. And so this will be the front of the journal. And then when you open it up, first thing you'll see is going to be this library pocket. And this is going to get hinged, so it's going to open up. Okay. Oh, actually, it's going to open up that way. And then on this side of the inside cover, I'm using half of one of those envelopes, which is my substitute for the seed envelope. Okay, so this is half of the medium-sized envelope. I turned it upside down, and then I just glued a piece of paper, a piece of scrapbook paper onto it to cover up that front piece. And then this is going to be a pocket. It's just going to be like a little tuck spot. Okay. And so on the original version, I actually had the coin envelope on the front of the seed envelope right here. Okay. So since I'm using this alternate, piece on this journal, I can't put the coin envelope on the front because I want this little tuck spot. So I just decided to put it on the back. Okay, so this is going to get hinged on the back of that, pocket piece. And then this is going to get cut open at the top and made into a pocket. Okay. I hope this is going to make sense. All right. So then when you open that one, and when you open that one up, this is where the other seed envelope would be, but we're not making not using seed envelopes. So we're using the small envelope. I cut it in half, turned it upside, cut it in half, turned it upside down, and it's going to get glued in place right here. Okay. So that's where that one goes. This one opens up and it's the same thing. It's the other half of this envelope turned upside down right here. It's okay that it's open on one side because this is going to get stitched in anyways, and we're going to cut this open and make it a pocket. Okay. And then the small library pocket that we did is going to go onto, so this is the other envelope that's going to make this page right here, right? So this library pocket, originally I just had it glued in place right here. Okay, but I didn't want to waste this other half of the medium-sized envelope, so I decided what I would do on this alternate version is I would actually attach it onto this and use this, the other half, actually right side up, and make this a pocket that flips out attached to this envelope. Okay. So I know it's looking really crazy, but I just think that that's going to be kind of cool. Okay. And so then this obviously is not going to be attached like that. We're going to stitch this in right here in the center. Okay. I just have those paper clips on there just to hold it in place for now. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to show you guys what where this is sort of going. So if you start getting confused, like, this is a good way to kind of put it all together. Just use paper clips so that, you can keep it organized in your mind, If I tried showing you this one, you'd be like, yeah, whatever. So we'll work on this one again in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this stuff off. And take all this stuff off because I want to work on the cover, and I just kind of want to show you guys how I did the collaging on the cover. So I'm taking all my elements and I'm just going to put them in a little pile. And I'm going to try to remember how I put it together. Okay. So paper clips. All right. So then here's our cover, and here's all of our other elements. So this is going to ultimately be pockets in the center, right? And then this is going to stay open. This is going to stay open. And these are going to close in like that. And then it'll close up like that. Okay. So we want to open this all the way up and turn it upside down so that we're looking at the back. And then what I did was I just did strips of book pages all the way across. Okay. And I just used the Elmer's all-purpose glue, and just use like a pretty generous amount. You want to make sure it sticks, right? So I kind of do like that and like cover like one whole panel And I want to make sure that these overlap over the edges, right? And I'm going to be trimming those off later on. And I use the baby wipe to smooth it down because, I don't know, I think it helps everything stick. Helps to make sure everything is just really stuck. That little bit of moisture, I think, really does help. Okay, so I'm just doing these strips, book page, and I might use some ledger paper too, I don't know, but I'm just making sure that these overlap a little bit, and just keep adding glue going all the way down and smoothing it out. Try to, you know, use different tones of paper, so there's a little bit of, you know, like contrast between the two different book pages that are next to each other. And I'm putting the torn edge always up. Okay, so my straight edge is that way, and it's going to get covered up. So just keep going. Oh, let me use a piece of this math book. So you could do wide strips too, or you could use like really narrow strips of book pages too. Either way, or I mean, you could just use scrapbook paper, you know. You don't have to use book pages, right? And you can use whatever you want. But if you do decide to use scrapbook paper, I would use a lighter weight scrapbook paper and not use cardstock weight. Like, so I've, you know, I used a ruler to cut these strips, and I just thought it would be kind of cool if they were just like straight strips. Or you don't have to do this in strips. I mean, you could just do it all, you know, crazy, all cattywampus book pages, you know. Either way, doesn't matter. You just want to cover this with paper somehow. All right. Boy, it was like, that was really weird today when I was trying to figure out what I did on that on that journal. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I got it figured out now. Okay. So after this, then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the, I'm going to wind up covering the pockets too. And so, you know, you could use scrapbook paper for that too. Or book pages. Okay. So this is what it looks like on the other side. So what I like to do while it's still kind of damp is I like to kind of fold it up so that as it's drying, it's going to be like, it's not going to be fighting the paper will stay in place, okay, where it's glued, like on the creases. Fold it back up while it's drying. Just my recommendation. Otherwise, if you let it dry totally flat, then when you fold it back up, it's going to crack on these edges. Well, I mean, not guaranteed that it'll crack, but it's more likely that the paper will crack. But that's okay, because I'm going to actually, I mean, even if it does, it's not like the end of the world, because let me use this one real quick. Because we're going to reinforce that with fabric anyway. So then I just go around, trim off trim off all that excess. You do want to be careful that you're not cutting through the envelope, but if you do, it's not the end of the world if you're going to be stitching it, because there's going to be a row of stitching all the way around the outside border anyway. So if you accidentally cut through the envelope a little bit somewhere, don't freak out. It's okay. It's still going to hold together, you know. Okay. All right, so this is what we have. Oh, and I covered that that inside flap with scrapbook paper. Ignore that. Yeah, so you could cover that with book paper too if you want to. So, you know, I wanted to do it with scrapbook paper, so I didn't include it when I was doing my strips. If you want, you could include that when you're doing your strips of paper. Just open that up and, you know, cover it with book pages. It'll wind up being upside down unless you do this piece completely separate. You know what I'm saying? The text will be upside down if you're paying attention to that while you're making this. So, okay, so that's how that's going to go. And then this is going to fold up and up like that. All right. So what I do is, you want some kind of like thin-ish, it's just some kind of fabric to reinforce the spine and wherever you've got a fold on the cover. Okay. I like to use bandage or like extra fine cheesecloth. Okay. But I happen to have quite a bit of these boxes of old bandage. So I like to use this because it's really like cheesecloth anyways, but it's like that extra fine cheesecloth. So I use a different glue. You could use Fabri-Tac, or you could even use art glitter glue or whatever. I'm using the Scotch permanent glue stick, Scotch permanent glue stick, to do the fabric on here. Okay, so just and I've said this before, it is pretty much the same as the Scotch Create glue. Okay, so the Scotch Create is, I think, the same glue as this, to be honest. They may not admit that, but I think it's the same. Okay, so I'm just adding a strip of this wherever I've got a fold on the cover. And that's going to help just make it a little bit more sturdy, I think. Plus, I like the way it looks. So you could use any kind of fabric on here, though, right? I mean, anything, like any cotton. You know, I would say, you know, a lightweight fabric. You don't want to use like a real super heavy fabric. Okay. Oh, this is so fun. Okay. So then that's our cover, right? And then we've got our elements, like our pockets and stuff. So, excuse me, this one I did already. This is the library pocket. That's done. This is going to be our additional pocket. That's not in the original version. This is the other coin envelope substitute. This is a large seed envelope substitute. This is our coin envelope substitute. Did I say coin envelope? I meant seed envelope. And then this is the other library pocket substitute. Okay. So I just want to cover this one with paper, just like I did this one. Okay. So I'm just going to just grab some kind of some kind of pretty paper. I might as well just use the same. This was a end paper from a book. So when I'm doing this, I've got, this is half of that small envelope. I turned it upside down so the flap is on the bottom. Open up the flap, and then I'm going to add a little bit of glue right on here where that little, like, that little tab is. Okay. All the way across the top. And I'm just trying to glue that paper onto here so that this piece of paper is glued to this piece of paper all the way down. If you wanted to, you could probably leave this open and make it like a side pocket. You know, you might want to play around with that. That might be kind of cool. So, and then I'm just going to trim this off. I mean, you can do anything with envelopes. You know what I mean? That's what is cool about them. It's just, they're just fun to, like, I don't know. It's just different than playing with a flat piece of paper, right? It's just, there's so many different things that I think it just gets your mind working and just thinking about, you know, different ways of making pockets and stuff when you work with envelopes. So, okay, so we've got these two pieces. These are going to be on the inside of the journal right there on each side. Okay. So that's where those go. So I'm going to just paper clip those back in place. Okay. So that's where those go. And then since we're doing a little bit different, you know, something a little different on this alternate version than what, you know, that original journal was, this is the substitute for the seed envelope. Okay. So this one, I did exactly the same thing as I did on that small one, right? I just covered it with some scrapbook paper. You can see it's just glued on there. It's not, you know, because I want it to be open all the way to the bottom, right? So this one is going to go, where is this one going to go? Oh my God. See, it's confusing. Okay. So this is my envelope that is going to become a page in the center. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to make this a right side up, you know, top pocket, top loading pocket. And then the small library pocket is going to go right on the back of it. Okay. So that's how that's going to go. And then I'm just going to paper clip it onto here so that I don't forget that that's where it goes. Okay. And then it's going to be in the center of my journal like that. And it's going to flip out either that way or that way, one way or the other. Depends on what, you know, however you want to do it. But I will probably make it open up that way. Okay. So that's how that's going to be. And then this one, I'm going to have upside down as a tuck spot. So I just need to add some, you know, some kind of paper on the front of this one or the back of it, whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. I think I am going to use that. Okay. Sorry guys, I know I'm probably super confusing you. It's not really that hard though. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be cutting the top of this envelope off anyway, so I don't, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect at the top there. Okay. So that one's going to go like that. Oh, I got a little bit of white showing there. That's okay though. I can just ink it. Okay, so this is going right here, and then my coin envelope is going to be on the back, and it's going to be flapped. It's going to be hinged. Okay, so it's going to open up. This is going to open up like that, and then this one is going to open like that. Okay, so I'm going to paper clip that on there again. And then this one is going to get just, well, I better use a different one. Okay. Just so I know where it's going. There we go. Okay. So this is how things are going to line up. And then this library pocket is going to go right here on the front of that. Oh my God. Okay. Does that, I don't know. Does that make sense, you guys? I hope so. Basically the only difference in this is, well, I'm not using seed envelopes, but I added this element. Okay. I added this piece. So, you know, that might kind of throw it off a little bit, and that's going to add a little bit more bulk to the whole thing. So, you know, just be aware of that. The other thing that I like to do, I don't know if I mentioned this, but so this is the inside flap. It's that small envelope. So I want this pocket to be like very accessible, right? Like I want it to be, it's not opening because I have paper clips all over it, but I want it to open up really well to add tags and stuff into. So what I'm going to do is I just trim that little piece right there up to the edge. And I do that on top and bottom. Okay, and then I'm just going to glue that little tab down. So that's just glued down. And that makes it so that this pocket opens all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to do that on this side too. Okay, and I think I've probably confused you guys enough for one video. And hopefully you're working along. I decided that with those with the envelope packs that I'm offering, I'll just go ahead and add enough envelopes for you for 2 of these, okay, instead of just one. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to only send enough for one, just in case you mess one up or something, you know. So I'm gonna include enough supplies of the envelopes, not the elastic, but the envelopes, for you to do 2 of these. Okay. So that's how far we've gotten. I think that's pretty good. You know, I just need to trim this one. This is the kind of like original version. And obviously I need to add some paper on here and trim these up. These are the pockets where I added paper and stuff. These need to be trimmed up. So I'll get this stuff all put together, and I'll kind of paper clip this one into place the way it's supposed to be. And then we'll look at some assembly, some like actual assembly in the next video. Okay. All right, you guys, love you. Thanks for putting up with me. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't talk like that. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I hope that you guys make these because they're pretty cool. And yeah, and it's good for all of us. All right. Okay, guys, love you. Talk to you soon. Oh, and links in the description for all these supplies and stuff, including someone had asked about these little plastic containers. I got these on Amazon, so I put a link in the description for those as well. Okay, love you guys. Bye for now.